Ollie and Steven's 2013-14 NBA Preview Show, number 29.
Welcome back to Ollie and Steven's 2013-2014 NBA Power Rankings, the countdown. Stephen Edwards selected the 76ers at 30, and today at number 29, the Phoenix Suns, Stephen Edwards.
Yeah, Phoenix Suns are a team that do have somewhat of a history, but unfortunately that their present team is not that great. They've got a few nice pieces in the starting lineup, but that's pretty much about it.
So the Phoenix Suns are a team that basically in 2010 were 2 games away from the NBA Finals. Then their owner decides to fire Steve Kerr, the general manager, blow the thing up and coordinate and manage the whole team himself for the micromanagement style. They've never won an NBA championship. Steve Nash is not retiring there, which I think is an absolute sin. I don't understand what this team's done. He should definitely sell the team.
Yeah, I mean, this team has been has gone from one of the best teams in the NBA down to being for what I've graded them as the second worst team in the NBA. And on some other years, they could even be the worst team. It's only that we've got a very, very poor Philadelphia 76ers team that's going to fall lower than them.
It is an out-and-out shootout for the worst record easily in the NBA between those 76ers and the Phoenix Suns. Who gets the worst record? You've ranked the 76ers below. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have the worst record at the end of the season. How do you see it playing out?
I think both these two teams will be neck and neck as the season goes on. And I think if either team starts to win a few games, then that team will be pulled back a bit to make sure that they don't get too far away from that potential number one pick.
So as always, Stephen, we're going to try and capture the collective mindset of every team's fan base with one word. Now, I don't know if Phoenix have got too much interest in next year's basketball season, but what would you give what word would you give their fans their current mindset?
Optimistic.
You see, I've gone a completely different way. I've gone angry. I think they are so desperate to get rid of their owner because they're going, why is Steve Nash at least not around for us to cheer for at the age of 40, one of the greats in our history? Why is Steve Kerr not running the team anymore? We were so close to the NBA Finals. What the hell are we doing around these parts of the league?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it from that point of view that that they've seen a team go from being top towards the bottom, and it's not been particularly well run. But for me, I think they're optimistic in terms of what maybe the future will bring because of they're going to get a high draft pick. Like I said, they've got some nice pieces in that starting lineup. We'll come on to that part of it in a minute, but they've certainly got a lot more optimism about them than you would be as a 76ers fan.
Let's check out what the Phoenix Suns then did last summer. Thanks to Grantland.com for the graphics for this one. Stephen, they made some moves, not too much in terms of incomings outside of maybe Eric Bledsoe, but they bring in a new coach in Jeff Hornacek. They let a lot of guys go. Yeah,
they let Karen Bartler, Louis Scola, who of course has gone across to the Pacers in trying to help them get over the edge. Michael Beasley's gone back to South Beach. I'm interested to see actually how Jeff Hornacek makes the adjustment from the playing days to the coach, and he was a good player. I mean, he did very well as part of the Utah Jazz team, and he was Phoenix before he went. So he is going to be a case of a guy that knows the Phoenix city, and maybe might be able to sort of restore some pride back to that city.
When I look at what they did this summer, 2 things stand out for me massively. First of all, Alex Len. They take him number 5 overall in the NBA draft. He comes in with leg issues. He doesn't even make the All-ACC third team in the ACC, yet he's drafted number 5 overall. He has a decent inside game. I just can't see where he's going to get the minutes to begin with this year, and then just why they took him so high.
I don't understand why they took him so high. The reason why he'll get minutes is because Gortat will be traded. He's an expiring deal this season, and he's going to be. I think he's the sort of guy they're going to put out there for around about 35 minutes a night, and then they'll then try and find a team that will trade for him coming up towards the trade deadline, and then that's when Alex Len will get some minutes. I could be wrong. Maybe Gortat will be re-signed, but for me, I think he's more likely to be sent out the door.
If I'm an NBA GM of a contending team, I'm banging down Phoenix's door to get Gortat. I really rate him.
Yeah, he's a guy that's got a nice soft touch around the rim, and he also seems like he's willing to bang against the bigger guys around the league. So he'll help you in that respect. It's just a matter of whether or not that they can find a trade partner that would be willing to take him on. And it's very difficult. It's not such a big salary. It's not necessarily that you have to do too much work to be able to get that salary onto your books. But it'll be very interesting to see which teams maybe will take an interest in him. And I think he can certainly benefit one of the teams in the upper echelon of either conference.
Let's take a look then at the rotation for the Phoenix Suns. I immediately look at the starters and I see the backcourt of Eric Bledsoe and Goran Dragic. I don't know if that works. I think they brought Bledsoe in to be a point guard. I don't know if he is a true point guard. I like Dragic, but I have a feeling they're going to try and move him on and build this team around Bledsoe.
Yeah, I think when you bring in Bledsoe, I think it's almost like you are going to kind of move over to him to run the team. Dragic is somebody they could potentially move. I think Gortat will be the first one to move, and then they'll see whether or not Dragic and Bledsoe have got the chemistry in that backcourt to take the team forward. They just want to do enough, obviously, again, like the 76ers, to ensure they get that high draft pick, get themselves a chance to be in with the lottery chance to get Wiggins if possible, and then they'll see how that takes them forward. And again, I like the idea if they move one of those top picks in next year's draft and put that in there with Bledsoe and Dragic and make a couple of other nice little tinkers around, and Hornacek makes quite a nice debut as an NBA coach, and things could look up for Phoenix quite quickly.
Their bench is horrible, man.
It is horrible.
Their bench is horrific. Their bench may be worse than the 76ers, because if you get Noel healthy, you've got to figure out ways of splitting time with Hawes, or even move him to the 4 at some points. That makes the bench a bit stronger in terms of rotation. Their bench has to be the worst in the league.
It's the worst that I've certainly seen across the rosters. I mean, you've got... it's bad enough as it is that you've got guys that are not playing for other teams and sitting on their bench, and maybe the 6th, 7th, 8th guy off the bench who could make this starting lineup. But you've also got guys that the benches could absolutely dominate this bench. I think Jeff Hornacek over the course of a season will, 1, hope that the team doesn't get injuries, and 2, if he then looks around at that bench, may very well think to himself, well, maybe I'll just play the starters 48 minutes every game.
It's time to move, Steven, to someone who's developing a genuine cult following the first edition of said podcast/show here on YouTube, Jedi Ollie.
Jedi Ollie.
Jedi Ollie's been hanging out with Chewbacca, with Han, just chilling around there up in the Star Wars universe. This is what I have to say on that. Only Alex Len, Eric Bledsoe, and Archie Goodwin will be on this team in the 2014-2015 season as it's presently constructed. Goran Dragic will be traded. I believe that people are going to, again, bang down the door to get Gortat, and everyone else is you just let them go at the end of the season. You put them in trades with Dragic, you put them in trades with Gortat, you let the rest of the guys walk, and you just keep that young core, and you build again next year with a bit of cap room and a chance to hit the jackpot in the draft lottery. Yeah,
I think you've got to gut what you have, even as players you want to get rid of. I think you keep Bledsoe around, and I 100% agree. You move to try and get that top player in next year's draft and see what other bits you can maybe bring into that team. Gortat is going to become a very big tradable piece for the Phoenix Suns, and Dragic could potentially be moved as well.
Fortunately, Jedi Ollie just ran off with Princess Leia, so he cannot reply to any comments. If you want to use the hashtag Jedi Ollie, then do that. Make him a cult following. I think the guy would love that. Steven, I want to get to my favourite part of these shows we're doing. It is Steven's 24-second shot clock prediction. I'm going to turn the clock on as soon as you start speaking, as you know. Take it away.
Okay, Phoenix Suns 2013-2014. Gortat will leave the Phoenix Suns and go to a contender and play a big part in that team making the latter stage of the NBA playoffs. Jeff Hornacek will be a huge success for the Phoenix Suns as an NBA head coach, and the Phoenix Suns will finish with the second worst record in the NBA.
Oh, with much time to spare, Jordan-esque, 2 feet in the air, flying through, Stephen Edwards drops the buckets, but you've left some time on the clock, Stephen. Therefore, I believe I can reply to some of it. I think you've got a bit too much faith in Jeff. This roster's ridiculously bad. And I understand that he's not going to be gone at the end of the season if it's bad, because they are tanking. But man, it's so awful. It's going to knock your confidence. You're not going to be able to figure out some stuff because it's so bad.
Jeff Hornacek had a basketball brain. That's the reason why he was such a good player in the league. I think he translates well into being an NBA head coach. I think we'll be surprised at his particular coaching ability as the season goes along. I don't necessarily think it's going to end up with a good record for the Phoenix Suns, but I certainly think there'll be some key points that we can take away from it, and he can look forward to more than 1 year at that particular helm.
Destination City.
Destination City! Woo! Steven, you're on destination. Phoenix.
Phoenix. What more can you say about Phoenix? It's hot. that's the thing with Phoenix. It's absolutely baking in that desert. So Phoenix, for a destination point of view, is much more appealing than a cold, damp, dreary Philadelphia. The team is a little bit better to watch. So if I gave the Philadelphia 76ers a 5, I will give Phoenix Suns a 5.5.
I give Phoenix a 6. I like the weather. I'm not big on the desert. I feel like if I was going to go out in Champaign and campaign, that Phoenix would show me a good time, some sort of barbecue. I feel like there'd be some rare meats around. And I feel like they'd know how to party in some sort of desert, effort.
So what I think people should do is just start putting together a little fund so that we can go and do all these destinations, and we'll actually see if these places are as bad as we think they are or as great as they are.
We should be hosted by the Phoenix Suns to party in Phoenix and by the 76ers to see if they can improve their grades.
We'll send them over this little segment over to them.
Anything else to say before we finish off with the Suns?
No, I've always had a soft spot for the Suns, and I'd like to see them do well, but they're going to have a struggling season.
Nash, Kerr, you should be back. A big shout out to you boys. Phoenix made a heck of a bad decision by letting the pair of you go, and I love the pair of you. I love the coverage you've given. Kerr on NBA TV and Nash still rocking it at 40 in the NBA. I love that, by the way. That is wonderful. And the purple and gold pleases me more that they've got a 40-year-old as their starting point guard. This has been number 29 on Stephen Edwards' countdown of his power rankings for Stephen and Ollie's NBA preview show. We'll catch up with you next time with number 28, which one of us has a passing interest in.
Thanks for downloading Ollie and Steven's 2013-14 NBA preview show. Please continue to check out the First Take UK podcast.